So I got some comments. One guy was asking me about the resolution of my camera. It's a Logitech. It's a 4K. I do a video and then I upload it to YouTube, and I have a high-speed upload, both up and down. It's through the air Wi-Fi with AT&T, and then it gets into YouTube, but then it says unexpected something, or this is taking longer than it's doing this on smaller videos. It's like it's really testing the video to make sure there's no illegal. In other words, no, it's not an illegal copy of something. So I cut back the video resolution because I don't want to be sitting there all day with the thing. And my videos have nothing to do with the resolution. It has all to do with what I explain to you. And some people can just listen to what I'm saying and they can visualize it. They know what the parts look like. But other people, in order to play make-believe, have to have real good resolution. It's eye candy. Shango had another name for it. He was getting the same thing. People were complaining. He was using a handheld camera, and then they complained it was making them seasick or something. I followed, and then the guy goes, well, tell me what model. The guy with the bow tie. Well, I think the last few videos, he's not wearing a bow tie anymore. You could tell who he is because there's actually two of them. They have these beautiful labs, and whenever they work on something, it's never got any dirt on it. It's like a floor model of something from 1920, and it's staged. Okay, and they'll probably argue with me. No, my stuff's not staged. It's staged. It's all about making money on YouTube, but I'm not making money. I'm not monetized. I do the video because I think you might want to see a certain solution to a problem. And these other guys, they want you to watch the video. They want you to like it. They want to make money. And I'm not at that level. And my lighting is bad. I have this LED light that screws the camera focus up. It looks like a good light, but it's got some infrared, and the Logitech has its own light source on it, and I guess they work each other. And I do focus each video before I start, and I don't really get the results. Now, on the days there's daylight in the workshop, I put up the blinds, and you got to see how it's really focused. It's really high resolution. It's great. But it's my lighting that's doing it. I'm not investing any more money into this stuff. The one guy said, I thought you said you were getting out of radios. I have been getting out of radios. I'm not in it as heavy as I was. And tomorrow, it was supposed to rain tomorrow. It's a Saturday. And it was, I might have mentioned in a previous video, I was watching Channel 10 news, and the woman was razzing the weatherman last Sunday, saying, yeah, next Saturday it's going to rain, isn't it? Right? Now, all week they were projecting rain for tomorrow, which is Saturday. But today they're saying it's Sunday. So I got to see. What I'll do is I'll take a bus up to the yard sale. It's a pretty big climb going up that hill. And then I'll walk around there for a while. I won't stay too long, hopefully. And I'll take the bus back. I have a bus pass. I can ride for free. But I have to see how I feel tomorrow morning if I'm into it, A lot of it has to do when you get up in the morning if you poop. Another old thing, when you get old, you really want to get up and poop. You don't want to get to a yard sale and have to poop, okay? I'm just cluing you into what's going to happen when you get older. But you want to feel good when you're walking around talking to people at the yard sale. At least I do. And I might get one or two videos sometimes at the yard sales. That's what I go for. But I also like people. And I'll chat with them and ask them how they're doing this year and stuff like that. But yeah, I have a certain way of doing everything. And I know it annoys people. Don't watch my videos. Don't watch them. It's all about what I tell you versus show you. I can't eat. There was another word he did. It has to do, in other words, you basically get sexually aroused with making believe you're going to fix a radio or what it looks like inside. Now, I told you, when I look at the components for a radio, it's very pleasurable for me to look at it. You know, I know what it looks like, and especially when you open a radio and you're inside, like that Navy radio, it was like mint. It was a mint condition radio. Uh, it turned out to be, it needed to be recapped, and there was a tube, the filament was open on it. But that radio never saw electricity. But of course, you know, the caps just sitting there go bad. And I don't think there were any in the IF that were bad. I let them go. But that Navy radio doesn't have the AM broadcast band. It starts at 80 meters. I think it has long wave on it, but it leaves out the AM broadcast band. And the radio is nice form factor. It's a very nice looking radio, but it might be difficult fitting a power supply into it. There is enough room if I want to spend 3 days designing one of my power supplies to go in that. And it doesn't have the AM broadcast band, so no, it's not going to happen. And this radio is still upside down. We're still, you know, I don't have the enthusiasm anymore, and I'm sort of waiting on a neighbor. They're supposed to bring me a very big box of movies, and they're going to put it up on my side door, and they didn't yesterday. And I don't know what happened with that. Maybe somebody else decided they wanted it, so we'll see. But yeah, you get these people, you know, and you see, I don't kowtow to any requests because I'm not monetizing. See, when you're monetizing, and some people keep complaining, you know, you got to get a tripod. I have a tripod, and I just found out I can use the zoom in and zoom out. And you know, I went right into this years ago, and I just come up with a certain system, and I stuck with it. And I told you a couple of people that complained. I click on their name, and they don't have any videos. And the one guy says, I can't figure out how to do the edit, or he doesn't know how to upload. You don't know. I know how to do that. Okay, I ran a bulletin board system and an email system for about 20 different. I was a hub for 20 different bulletin board systems. I actually created an email system using UNet packets, Q packets. Well, anyway, years and years ago. And I taught people how to do echo mail. I wrote up procedures so they could practice and then call me up and I'd help them. And what was happening is they would have me teach them, and then 2 weeks later they joined a big echo mail net and dropped me. So after about 10 people in a row did that to me, I didn't. And then they're like, "Well, why won't you teach me? You're going to drop me after a few weeks." Yeah, I'm like, "Go away, just go away." I caught on to it. See, the big guys, you have to know certain things. You have to know what net status is. There's all these buzzwords you have to learn. You have to understand. And when you go in his door, he gives you net status for a certain serial number, whatever. And your Robocom or whatever it was, RoboMail would go in it and pull the packet out. And then it would come back, and there's a mail sorter. And it sorts the mail and puts the mail in each conference on your computer. And your conferences have to match his conferences. And I would teach people. And then after a few weeks, I noticed they're not pulling the mail anymore. Yeah, I went to so-and-so. I went to Fido Mail. I went to... The same scenario happens to me all the time. That's all I want to tell you. You know, when you think you're telling me something, I already know. It's just that I don't care. I really don't care. Most of my videos, you know, I was telling you like that, the Blade 70S. It could be super blurry. And I say to them, the trims in the middle. And I pushed them. And then I showed this is the center. It beeps longer. Even blurry, that video would help people. I've learned that the spoken word is very powerful. And pictures help sometimes. But I got the funny feeling one guy wanted to see how I had something wired up. And then the resolution maybe was not good enough, whatever reason. But there's what the hell did he call that? Shango's got a phrase for in other words, they want the radio he's working on, and they want the shots. They want to look at it. They want to make believe they're actually fixing the radio. And that's why I like Shango, because he sort of operates like I do. He's got a really wide repair record of different things. and I do too. That's why I like them. The other guys, they want to make content and they want to get paid for it, and they must borrow something from somebody. They're holding it up, and I'm like, that thing looks brand freaking new. And of course, you see what I'm working on, and you can make any old radio work again, but you want it to look good after you get it working. But the ones that really look good on eBay, they want big money. Now the Channel Master 6515. When I bought two of them, they were $18 each. Some of them are up to $140 now because it's a collectible. And the Channel Master radio has probably one of the biggest ferret rods in it. So back when I was buying them, people were buying the radio just to get the ferret rod to make an amplified antenna system for AM broadcasts. And I have a bunch of ferret rods, but in a box, and I was making a thing called, what the hell was it called? I was selling plans for something. ZipZap? No. Well, anyway, I had an amplified antenna system I was selling the plans for. And the hard part is getting the ferret rods. Now that's not a hard problem. There's actually a company that'll sell you the ferret rods. But you're talking, I've had a 19, I've been online since 1989, different ways. I used Net Zero for a while because I couldn't afford it. I had AOL. It was such a joke. And then I had a neighbor. The woman didn't. She kept checking for my website. She didn't realize when you're in AOL, you have to go onto the internet. She just couldn't get that over. They couldn't get that through her skull. We checked to find your website, and I went on somebody's AOL, made sure. But in AOL, you're in AOL. You could do a search and it'll show you websites, but it's not the full internet. And I told her that. She didn't understand. But there's a button you press, and you would load you'd hear that thing clanking away because in most cases people had a really slow computer, not enough memory. So AOL would work great until they wanted to switch to go on the internet. I've been in this stuff so long, and like I said, there's certain things I just don't care, And some people aren't used to that. They're like, "Well, you got to do it this way." And a lot of times I just ghost them. I click on their name and say, "Hide this user from the system." Just hide the user. It's easier, They go around the internet telling me, "Oh, you got to make this," but no, I don't. Go away. I'm not monetized. I don't make any money. I do this when I'm in a good mood and I feel like showing you something. That's what. Yeah, and I keep saying that on a lot of videos, but it doesn't sink in. They watch a video and then they're like, "Well, why don't you do this?" Or "You should have done this." And the video is complete. And a lot of times they're wrong. Like that guy use the toroid coil. It's bigger. It takes longer to wind it than it does to take a choke and mount it. I thought of everything. That's what they don't see that. They don't see the work that's gone into the fact that I went looking for modern day parts, the two chokes, make sure the trimmable capacitors were still available. The ones that are fixed, they're easy to find. And then to use the perf board that's got solder tongs on it, ring tongs, or solder circles, whatever you want to call those little points where you could solder. And then I showed in the video how to roll. You take a piece of I think that wire came from electrical wiring. I think it was the ground. And you roll it between two boards, and it makes it absolutely straight. I showed all that. And then at some point, I showed that it fits in the 1-inch square hollow aluminum tubing. The rest is to make the bracket and the holes in the top, make a little cap for it. That video was for someone that is at my level, and they decide they want to make 3 IF cans. So the first thing I know what they're going to do is they're going to go looking, and they're going to find my video, and then they'll go, "Oh yeah, he's using two chokes for the coils." And you can move them apart for IF 1, 2, and 3. Now the guy with the toroid coil idea, yeah, it'll work, but you can't get the 1, 2, and the 3, so the radio will be more selective. There is trick ways to help to do it a little bit more. You do less coupling, you put less windings on the secondary of the coil, and you get a little bit more selectivity. But what kind of radio you're building? See, I covered all bases, and then some people come in with this simple way, and that's how they roll. Now, this works. Yeah, it works in some cases. Now, years ago, there was a Cinemax, and Cinemax transmitted a channel on the cable system. And if you turn the channel on, it would go whoop, 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 and the picture would go wonk, 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 wonk. And I I got a somebody gave me a filter that came from a cable company down in South Jersey, and I talked to someone that had that. It was they put it on your wall, and they put two screws in it. If you unscrewed it, these hammers would come down inside the box and smash a glass circuit board. Later on, they didn't do that anymore. They just had these wires come down and short out the box. So there were so many ways around this. But anyway, someone says, yeah, if you watch that channel, there's a tone that goes like bleep, 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 like that. I go, oh, really? And then someone gave me one of the boxes. It wasn't any good in North Jersey, but I used my grid depth meter, and I figured out what the coil, the value of the coils was, and I built the same circuit. And then I sent it down South Jersey. The guy tuned in, and he says, it works. You got it. And what I could do is I could actually see it on my cable system. I could put a channel on, and when I was tuning the coils right or left, I could knock out the sound of the station or the picture. And then you tune it right back between the frequency of the sound, frequency of the picture, and your channel looks fine. So then I went up to, when Cinemax was first on, you couldn't get the boxes in North Jersey. So I went up to this kid's house, and he had Cinemax on the cable, but nobody had the decoder. We screw this thing on his cable, and he puts the channel on. He goes, it isn't doing anything. I said, the channel's working. And he's looking at he goes, holy crap. Now he has to unscrew it again. Bleep, 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 bleep. He goes, you got it. I said, yeah, that's the system. And then I'm pretty sure it was Cinemax. Then he goes to the front door and in a apartment complex, and he starts screaming out, I have Cinemax. He was a strange dude. Okay. Anyway, that's what I was building these decoders, and sometimes I had to sit there and wait for the cable company to get the channels that my decoder box was going to get. I used it on a different system, a different town, and then when that system came to my town, I already had the decoder box ready. Now, I built all kinds of decoder boxes. Then they got a real sophisticated one. The tri-mode, the TV set, the picture would change brightness 3 times if you watched it as a regular channel. And then it would also lose sync. But you could hear the audio. And that unit, I bought a bi-mode box, and then I realized they upped it to 3 modes. And then I built an EEPROM. I programmed an EEPROM. I found out the 3 codes they sent for each mode, and I read it with a bitfax or something like that. I was sending the data from my television in the cellar from a real cable box, and I was sending the data up to a wire to my bedroom, and I could see that the binary number was changing only on the Playboy channel. On the regular channels that were scrambled, it was just a bunch of garbage. So I had to build a circuit that only turned the gate on for a specific time after the retrace of the line. And I got the box to work with the Playboy channel. And then when the regular channel come on, it worked because I built a data window thing. It let the data in for a certain period of time. See, what they were doing in order to keep you from using an older system that was used for the Playboy was to put scrambled data on either side of the data you need to keep the Playboy channel working correctly. So for the Playboy channel, you had one decoder, And the other thing, you had a different. My company that I had in my town, they had a special box for the WrestleMania, and you had to go down and rent it. And I would be sitting there at my house, right? And up on the upper frequency, I had a box that could do wider frequencies. Upper frequency, I could watch the test signal for WrestleMania. WrestleMania is coming, blah blah blah. And then it goes into a commercial, and I'm like, that could be it. So the night of WrestleMania, my box worked, and then I went into work and I recorded it. And I'm going there, and the guys, you couldn't get it to work. So at lunchtime, guy went and got that from. We had an audio visual unit, a player. We did like little training films in our company. Guy went and wheeled that in there and into the cafeteria, and the kid was sitting there and said, I couldn't break the system. He holds the video up and he goes, good job, John. He puts it in, and up comes WrestleMania. Yeah, and then one guy says, yeah, he can decode signals from Mars. I was really into it, and sometimes you would just read how it was. Suppressed sync. What they do is they take the sync pulse, the horizontal sync pulse, and suppress it. And you had to build a circuit that would turn the gain on at that moment where they were suppressing it. And WHT worked like that. That was through the air. And then a couple other ones were using suppressed sync. And then they switched to this dual bi mode, then tri mode, and then and then the final system. Oh, Quasar? No. Ah, son of a bitch. I always forget the name of it. It wasn't Motorola. There was a box. And how I beat it was I opened it up and I saw an EEPROM in there. It's in a glob of epoxy. So I wiggle it and it comes out. It's plugged into a socket. And I'm trying to think of the name of the company that made the box. So anyway, I took the blob into work and I'm looking at the bottom of it. It's weird. It's got like 18 pins. It's not a RAM chip. It's some type of PROM. And it's not an EEPROM with a window on it. It's just, I can't get it out of the blob to get the number. So I go over in Tech Ops, and I'm sitting going through all the different Tech Op books of EEPROMs. And there's one with 18 pins. I took it back home, and I showed you my EEPROM programmer. All right, let me show you that. We're show and tell. I just hit the tripod with my foot. Let me show you this. All right. For you guys that are still with the video, let's see if we're in frame. All right, this box, you could set the address and the data. The address works by stepping switches. So you put an EEPROM in here, and you hit the reset, it goes to 0, 0, all zeros. And then you can step through the EEPROM. So I made a header that went into this header, and I could actually read that EEPROM, that 18-pin EEPROM. And some other friend told me the number in that EEPROM is the serial number of the box. So I was good at binary numbers. And later on, they put the scientific calculator inside Windows can convert binary. I used to do it the hard way on pencil and paper, and I get the whole thing done. And I'm looking at it, don't make any sense. I can't get the serial number to match what's in the EEPROM. I must have got off by one pin, or I keep looking, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, maybe it's upside down, and ones and zeros are backwards. So I reversed that, and I did my math, and it come out to the serial number of the box. So then I talked to this other guy, and he says, I'll get you the serial number of the guy that runs the cable company, of his boxes in his house. And they're turned on for everything. So he gives me the serial numbers. And I burn an EEPROM and make a header. We stick it into the stupid decoder box. I went over to my friend's house, and we put it on. It doesn't do anything. But he had told me you got to wait for it to load. You have to put it on a certain channel. So we put on a certain channel. It wasn't Quasar. I'm still trying to think of the name of the box. And just before we go to give up, he pushes a button, and one of the scramble channels is working. So I said, well, let's turn it to one of the other scramble channels and let it sit there. And that did it. When you put it on another scramble channel, after so many minutes, the number comes by for the box. It's a good number, and it loads the little data to make the box work. Quasar, son of a bitch. It was a company that was around forever, and then all of a sudden they weren't around anymore. Was it Quasar? No, it sounds like that. Wasn't Motorola. All right, it'll come to me later on, but I was heavily into TV decoders. And then one day, I got all these systems working. And I think it maybe was Sylvania. It was some wacky company like that. Well, anyway, one day I'm watching the TV, and Woody Allen's movie Z-Log was on, or was what? I said, this is stupid. This is that. Then I start realizing the movies that are on HBO and all these other channels that I figure out how to do, they're not at my level anymore. And I stopped building decoders. And then a few years later, I got a Dish Network. And every channel, when it went to commercial, would have a commercial for just Dish. They didn't sell that time to anybody else, but instead of making it blank, they ran a Dish. So I called them up. I said, look, I'm not going to pay money to watch your commercial for my Dish that I already have. They wouldn't do nothing for me. Oh, they promised to give me 6 free months. I said, I don't care how many months you give me free. I said, well, we can't do anything. I said, I guarantee you had other complaints. Yeah, we did. I said, keep doing what you're doing. You know, at some point you will be gone. They're almost gone now. But in other words, I wasn't enjoying television. I sit there and I zone out. But if it keeps going to a commercial, and it's the same commercial, and it was like 12 different channels that broke for commercial at the same time on their system. And if you went clicking around, you would land on that same commercial. It was horrible. But yeah, I spent a lot of time building and stuff. But I have a way of doing everything. And you might say, what a jerky way, or what? It's my way. It's my life. And that's what you have to learn. When you get older like me, you look back and say, I should have done this. I should have done that. And I had one rich guy who died a horrible death, never retired. Actually, 2 of them. They said, you think you got to have all the time in the world. And one was the Baron, and he Electronics Barn in Bloomfield. He was a partner of that building of a Solid State and all that. And he was sitting one day, and they thought he fell asleep. He died. He died in the chair, and Herman threw the chair out. I knew Baron. Baron kept saying, why don't you shave? I can get you a job. You're a bright kid. But I said, I don't want to work anymore. And he was like, why? I said, it's just bullshit. I said, until I have to work again, I'm not going to. And that's the way I started rolling, because I spent my whole life going by the rules. And it's a joke. Right? Now, if you got kids, you have to play by the rules. You bought into the thing. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have any illegitimate kids out there. So that's the way. That's why I am the way I am. It's the 2 rules of life. Number 1, okay, look out for yourself. Rule number 2, obey rule number 1. I think that's it. All right, that's it. Oh, you got to get some more resolution. I can't get excited over these videos unless the resolution is higher. I want 4K videos.